Okay, take two. We are on a phone now, so I should be able to get Hattie on here with me. Let's see if I can get her to join me. Give me a few seconds. Hattie, are you with me? You should be able to request to join me. Let's see if I can find you. Okay, I'm inviting you in. Hopefully you've just got it. Add. You're on the camera, Hattie. Here we go. There
Hello.
she is. It's been a tense few minutes on the tech side of things over here. I do apologise. I'm the one that's supposed to have it all together, aren't I? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm really good, thank you. And by the end of this, you won't feel nervous. You're going to feel super empowered, because I think one of the best things is when you get to share your experience, and especially when you see how it affects people. So if you're with us live, it's amazing to have you. And just to say, throughout this session, like, if you've got any questions at any point, please do share them below, and we'll either pick them up at the end of the session, or we'll pick them up in comments between me and Hattie, I'm sure. So yeah, just really want everyone to get the most out of this session, and also put the limelight on Hattie and the amazing work she's done over the last 19 months. So we will get cracking, Hattie. Are you excited?
Yeah, no, I am really excited. Yeah, thank you for wanting to chat to me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And don't worry about, when I spoke to Hattie about doing this interview, she said, oh, there's going to be loads of verbal diarrhea. Well, don't you worry about that. The more you talk, the better, because we actually want to hear everything that's happened throughout your journey. So I have lots of questions for you today, and I thought we could really break this into sort of three parts. So the past, before you went through your journey, then going through the journey, the last 19 months, and now the present, where you're at right now. So I thought it'd be really nice to focus on a few questions on each phase, really.
Cool.
So yeah, are you ready to crack on and get started?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Super. Can everyone hear okay? Can you just give me a yes in comments if you're here with us live, just to say you can hear okay. We wouldn't want to get through this amazing interview and you not be able to hear anything. So if you're watching, just give me a yes in comments. Anybody? Yes in comments to say that you can hear. Everybody here? Yes. Okay, good. We've got a like for a yes. That's good. Perfect. Okay, so I would love to start by taking you back to 19 months ago. Does it feel like ages ago, or does it just feel like yesterday?
Yes, I don't know. In one way it does. Yeah, one way it seems like it's been it was ages ago, and in other ways it just feels like it was yesterday. My head's still kind of catching up with the person that I used to be, so I'm still in like the past mode, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's been a crazy 19 months, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. So okay, so take me back to what was life like for Hattie 19 months ago and before that? Tell me what life was like.
Really hard. I've kind of grown up always being a bigger person, and kind of throughout my life I've had a lot of bullying and things based off my size, and yeah, it was really quite difficult. There were quite a few things that happened in the lead up to me wanting to start to lose weight. I was diagnosed with polycystic ovaries, which obviously I know you have as well, and it was just kind of quite a big eye-opener really, that I'd love to have children one day, and just knowing that obviously my weight would potentially prevent that from happening as well. And so it was kind of a real wake-up call, and I just kind of was so unhappy really. I just got to the point where I just felt like I was just fed up of having a life that I wasn't really living, and I just felt like it was such a waste, and I just felt so unhappy and quite sad and alone really. And it wasn't until I got to that point where I kind of really hit rock bottom that I felt like the fear of trying to do this, trying to lose weight, was actually less than it was, that was a better option than feeling like how I was feeling at the time. So I think I just got to that point where I thought, enough is enough. I've got to try and do something. But I kind of panicked, and I was like, I want to get weight loss surgery. And I was, so I was like, I need to find a way to pay for it privately. And then I spoke to my parents, and they said, look, why don't you, try and do something yourself first, see if there's any options available in the NHS. And so then I joined the Feeling Good service, which is a service in West Sussex which focuses on patients with a BMI of 40 plus. And my BMI was at 50 when I started. And so there's tier 3, and then there's tier 4, which is a bariatric surgery. And so I met with a dietitian in like the November time, and you have to go to a weight loss surgery seminar in order to have the surgery. And it's has like a surgeon and a nutritionist. You talk about all the different surgery options, what life will be like after the surgery. And so I kind of was like, well, I'll wait until, that wasn't until the February. So I said, well, I'll wait until that comes along, see how I get on. And by that point, I'd lost just over 3 stone, I think, or maybe 4, I can't remember. And I decided right at that point, I thought, you know what, this is the first time I've ever lost this amount of weight. And it was going quite well. And so I thought, I'm going to kind of stick with what I'm doing, and didn't go for the surgery route. And here I am, 11 stone later.
And if you're here with us live, I'm dancing right now. Which is absolutely amazing. I think the fact that you have that availability to obviously go to the meeting and really look at, 2 ways of doing things, whether it's a natural approach or surgery, it's a great opportunity, isn't it, to make a decision of what you want to do moving forward. There is a piece that I really, really want to explore with you that you just shared with me. And you said the fear of not doing something about this was almost like lesser, like, and I guess what I want to really delve into, Hattie, is, sometimes from my experience with working with women for many years now that want to go through that journey, if they've got, what they feel to be quite a lot of weight to lose, they tend to be so overwhelmed at the fact that they feel they've got so far to go. And did you feel like that? Or did you feel that it was...
Yeah, definitely. I think I always knew that I was big, and it's not until I look back now that I realised quite like how big I was. But I think it just impacts everything, really. It's not just the losing weight, it's the fact that you need to exercise, and being a bigger person, that's so difficult. The confidence side of it, I didn't want to be out in public exercising, and as a bigger person, it's kind of like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You get people who will judge you because you're overweight, but then if somebody sees an overweight person out exercising, they'll probably, a lot of people could like ridicule you for that as well. So it's really quite daunting. I think I just, I didn't ever expect that I would ever get to this point. I just thought I need to lose a bit of weight. I need to try and do something. So I guess I kind of didn't, I didn't really think about it as like, I didn't expect to ever get this far. I just thought, I'll just be a bit less fat than what I wanted to start.
Okay, so you really took it in small increments. You didn't overwhelm and tell yourself you needed to, lose 11 stone. You just took it in small increments. So that's, if you're listening to this and you can relate to Hattie in any way, it's breaking it down and working each step as you go is obviously a very solid foundation and really does deliver great change. And it's trying to reduce that stress and overwhelm, isn't it? And okay, so leading up to obviously making your huge changes, did you struggle with believing in yourself and believing in the fact that could you do it? Did you struggle with that?
Oh God, yeah. I still don't believe in myself now.
Well, you should. You've got the evidence.
It's all, it's all I can't even think of the word, but no, I I didn't think I could do anything that I've done. There's so many things that I've done that have pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about a number on a scale or a number on a dress size. It's about all the things behind that you push yourself to do in order to do these things. Joining the service, I never ever spoke to anybody about my weight. I didn't speak to my family, my friends. So even just putting myself forward for that was a real big thing. Going to all the different sessions that were available. There's so many things that you think to yourself, I can't do this. Being here tonight, I've literally all day, I'm in an absolute state, absolutely, like I've got shaky hands now. you know, and you think, I can't do this, I can't do this, when actually then when you start to achieve things and you think, oh, I actually managed to do that, you think, oh my God, and that's such an amazing feeling. And actually those kind of feelings and those kind of achievements, the non-scale victories as such, actually are really quite a huge achievement, and so you get a more buzz out of those kind of things, especially when you realize like how much your weight has kind of impacted your life. You know, it prevented me from doing so many things. You know, I wouldn't go for a walk along a main road because I've been bullied. I've had people shout things outside of cars. I've had people try to spit at me from cars. And I wouldn't go out for a walk by myself. And now I can go out for a walk. And sometimes I get a little bit panicky, but, you know, I push myself to do things. And, you know, I think it's just from someone who started from where I have, you know, people are saying, oh, you know, if I can do it, you can do it too. And people are like, oh, whatever, like, you know, that's not you, that's me. But, you know, genuinely, I'm someone who was just so overweight, was so lazy, hate exercise, still hate exercise now, you know, and I've managed to do this. And so if I can do it, genuinely anyone can do it. And it hasn't been some crazy, weird lifestyle or diet. You know, it's just been 3 healthy meals a day, being sensible, trying to move more. And that's genuinely how I've achieved it. And people kind of don't always believe it, but that is genuinely how I've done it. And I think that's why it's been sustainable in the long run, because I've just made it into a new lifestyle for me and a new normal, and not something that where I felt like I'm in a state of feeling deprived all the time things. So yeah.
Sure. Okay.
I told you I waffle.
No, this is not at all. This is amazing. You're bringing me all the goosebumps and feels today. It's so nice. It's so nice.
I've got goosebumps myself.
Okay, so touching on what you shared in regards to, you know, being fearful of being able to go for a walk, and I think it's really important, and as we have this opportunity together today, to raise the fact that, you know, if you're listening and you're struggling with your weight, like, it can impact so many areas of your life. And like you said, you know, you didn't talk to your family or your friends about it, but that must have been so much for you to be able to manage, you know, from a mindset perspective, not even being able to walk out of your door and go for a walk.
Oh, good, yeah. And in every other aspect of my life, I was very open. And so I always thought I was this really open person, but actually I wasn't, because my weight impacted every single part of my life and was like a ripple effect. So actually I wasn't as open as a person as I actually thought that I was. So it's very difficult when you've got that fear and you don't have that belief in yourself, and you know you've been told so many times you're one thing, you're fat, you're useless, you're disgusting, and it just rolls around in your head. And you know, even times when I was first doing it, I'll be swimming, and I'll be out swimming doing my lengths, and I'd have like a 70-80-year-old overtake me, and I'd be like so slow, and I'd be like, oh, you know, and I'd say it in my head, and I'd be like, for God's sake, Hattie, like, you know, you're useless, you're just, and you know, you make yourself believe those things in the end. And so sometimes, yes, I've been through a lot and people have said horrible things, but you actually end up becoming like your own worst enemy, because you end up repeating all the stuff that anyone's ever said to you, and you just put yourself down and make yourself believe that you can't do things. But as I said, you know, all these things, they were so scary for me, so daunting. But I just got to that point where I was like, something's got to give. I just can't keep living my life like this. I was 27 years old. You know, a lot of the time I was afraid to go out my front door. If I went out with my friends, it'd be a case of, you know, I'd have to get, like, we'd go out drinking, and I'd get, you know, have to have a few drinks to kind of try and feel like I could socialise. But even still, I'm constantly, you know, I'm looking over my shoulder, constantly on edge, you know, and I just wasn't really living my life. And that kind of, as I said, that I just had enough, and I thought something's got to change now, because I just can't keep going on like this. And I think until you hit that point where you're like, I'm done. And also as well, because I've always been a comfort eater, and on the lead up to me getting diagnosed with polycystic ovaries, I didn't really know what the outcome of the tests were going to be in regards to my fertility, and I was really, really anxious that they were going to turn around and say, you know, you're not going to be able to have children at all. And as much as I've always loved food, I would love my grub, even now, constantly talking about food, it's a way of getting out of it. but I'd say that's the first time I've kind of properly binge eaten. I'd say I was just constantly eating because I was like, I just don't know how to deal with this, and I just used to shovel it in, and I just wasn't even really, I didn't even really taste it, didn't even really think about what I was eating in the end. And then that's when I kind of clicked, and I thought, hang on, my coping mechanism of comfort eating is not working for me anymore, and it's actually making it worse. And so it was really, you know, it is really scary to think, right, I need to make a change, and then I'm going into a change where I've got to take out my coping mechanism, even though I know in my head that coping mechanism isn't working for me. So it's very daunting.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's habit forming, and it's driven into you, and it's, you know, it's something that can be with you for many years. And the problem is, when we act upon a behavior like that for so many years, you know, it becomes part of our blueprint. So I suppose you've had lots of conversations in your mind where you've had to really rely on your resilience, and perhaps your brain's told you to go for the snack to make yourself feel better, and then you've had to really slow things down and go for a different decision. Now, Hattie, this is a great question. Has it been perfect every day for the last 19 months?
Oh God,
no.
Anyone who says that is a liar.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or when I speak at I do seminars for the service that I'm with, and I do talks, and I say to people, you know, it's not going to be a perfect journey from start to finish. We're all going to have days where we eat something we shouldn't eat, or, you know, we say, oh, I was meant to go out and, you know, do a walk or whatever, and I literally couldn't be bothered. You know, it happens all the time. So, but it's just a case of the biggest thing that you can do is being able to draw a line under a bad day. If you can say, you know what, or even a weekend, God, I ate so much crap today and yesterday, and I didn't get up and move. But if you can say, do you know what, right, that's a line under that. Let's draw, you know, that was today, tomorrow's a new day, and kind of work forward on that. That's where it will make the difference, because, you know, you're always going to have bad days. And also, you know, you want to have a social life, especially with COVID and everything where it's so restricted. You know, you should be able to go out and enjoy things with your friends, with your family, and not feel like you're, you know, sacrificing that when we've had a social life that's been so restricted as well. So yeah, it's just about just being able to, I always say to people, you've got to be kind to yourself. Like, if my friend said to me, you know, she was on a diet and she said, oh, Hats, you know, I proper went for it on the weekend, and you know, McDonald's for lunch and a curry for dinner, I'd be like, don't worry about it, it's fine, you know, we all have a bad day. And I'd be like, so not, you know, but if it was me, I'd be like, oh my God, that's it, you ruined it, you know, it's you know, you ruined all your hard work, and you just I'd completely crucify myself. So I tried to think in my head like how I would treat one of my friends, and I'd say, you know, it's fine, like, you have to think, yes, you had one bad day, but you had, in that week, you had 6 amazing days before it, so, and that's great. So it's, you know, it's not going to be perfect from start to finish. And it's also, as well, is, you know, you don't want to get into a mindset where you think about food as being always negative, and that, you know, I shouldn't eat this, I shouldn't eat that. You know, some people prefer to have just little things in moderation, and that helps them feel not as deprived. Whereas when I first started, I kind of completely went cold turkey, and I didn't really trust myself that if I just had a little bit, you know, you get a taste for it, and then all of a sudden, you know, a couple of chocolate bars, a couple of sherry bags, a couple of crisps later, I'm like, oh God, it's all gone out the window. Whereas now I'm in a point where I know I can have something if I want to, but to be honest, I don't really have it that often, because I'm so motivated. And I think once you start to see those results, and especially if you're someone who, you know, it's been a lifelong dream for me. I never ever thought I'd ever be able to lose weight. And so then when it started happening, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And then it gets, and you think, oh, and then so then you're like, oh no, I don't want to have that, because actually I've worked my bum off this week, and let's see what the scales say. And then it keeps going, and then you think, oh, and you know what, I don't need that. And then you kind of get your kicks and things from other things, from losing the weight, or, you know, breaking down barriers and things that you've built up for yourself for so many years, kind of outweighs the fact that you want to eat something. And I think every time I want to eat something, I think to myself, I don't need that, especially if it's because I'm upset or something like that. I'm like, no, because then that's, you know, old habits. But I think to myself, actually, I would, the feeling of wanting something to eat and not having it is a lot better feeling than if I ate it and then went snowballed and then felt like how I did before. So I think to myself, actually, I know I can survive if I don't have this chocolate bar. Yeah, sometimes I might want one, but a lot of the time, you know, I don't need to have it all the time like I was having before. And you can kind of say, no, I don't need that. And yeah.
I think it can be quite difficult as well for us women in today's society with, you know, especially with the PCOS diagnosis, right? Because we don't learn at school how our body works internally. And, you know, when you do have PCOS, the way we metabolize carbs and how we see sugars is completely different to someone that doesn't. And it can make stopping at 2 biscuits more difficult. And I think pair that with also such, you know, dieting culture of cutting carbs or having such restrictive approaches, you know, sometimes it can be really difficult and you just don't know what avenue to go down. And the reality is sustainability has got to be built on a blueprint that you can live for the rest of your life. And I love the fact of what you tied in there, you know, having something enjoyable, having a curry or having a McDonald's, but being present in that moment, making the decision because you want it and it feels like a healthy decision rather than I'm needing it to cope with something negative that's happened in my life. And that is so powerful. That's probably one of the most powerful things you can learn, isn't it, when you're really building that forever relationship with food. And a lot of that is like slowing the process down a lot of the time. And it's just, I feel like I could talk to you for hours because there's just so many areas that I would love to just hear your firsthand sort of review on, really, because it must just be so incredibly like just life-changing for you. And I know so many people are just going to thrive from you. I am in this interview 100%. So
thank you.
I think I would love to really pick your brains to go back to where you were at the beginning. Say, you know, we've got someone listening with us today and they're right at the beginning and they really want to take that step forward and to really, you know, find their new identity, but they're so scared to do it. What would you tell them, Hattie? What would you say?
I would just say that change is inevitable in life, and it can either, you know, you've got the power to decide whether it's going to be for a positive reason or a negative reason. And, you know, change is difficult and it's uncomfortable. But you've just got to try. I think you have to find what your reasons are for losing weight, and you need to hold on tight, and they, you know, they're going to be your, I don't know what the word is, but like, you know, when things get hard, that's what you're going to have to hold on to keep you focused. And then once you start to kind of you know, achieve things, then it's like, then it gets bigger and you're like, no, because I've achieved that and I can do that, and they're kind of like the things that you hold on to more. So I would just say, to my biggest regret is that I didn't do it sooner. And I think to myself, why didn't I do this sooner? Why have I wasted so many years in my early 20s when I should have been out, you know, living the dream, loving life, when I just felt so horrible all the time. So I just say, you know, every day that you waste not making this change is a day more of just feeling unhappy and feeling low and feeling, you know, lonely. And so I would say that, you know, there's never a good time to start a diet or a healthy lifestyle or whatever. Everyone's always got other things going on. It's just about making small changes. I kind of, as well, before I kind of got really serious with it, I went from, like, you know, I changed my breakfast to porridge to start with, and then because I used to always go to the shop and get my lunch, I'd always get like a meal deal or something, so I started getting like a wrap or some low fat crisps, and I'd get like some fruit or yogurt rather than loads of chocolate or whatever. Just little changes like that to start with, to kind of get me right in the mindset before I started getting more serious. Then I kind of got more serious with my food, and then after that is then when I started to incorporate the exercise. So I kind of broke it down a little bit and just did it steadily and kind of let my brain kind of get used to the change and grieve the loss of my beautiful food. Yeah, so I just say to anyone, you know, you can do this. It's absolutely bloody terrifying, but you can do it. I've proven that you can do it, and you know, it is achievable. It is realistic, and you can still eat the food that you'd like. It's just about thinking about your taste buds. You know, what things do I like, but how can I incorporate that in a healthy way? and making sure that you're eating enough to be able to be sustained, and not feel like you're deprived, so your taste buds are happy. Yeah, rambling on.
No,
Yeah,
it's
you can
amazing.
do it, everyone.
It's super. I guess as well, you know, going through the journey. And this was a good a question I did really want to ask you. Did you have to? Do you feel you had to sacrifice anything for the journey? Any main sacrifices that you had to make?
I think that's sacrifice. I think you do think before you're starting this kind of journey, you think, oh, well, I've got to give up this, I've got to give up that, I've got to give up this. But actually, when you look back and you realise the things that you thought were going to be a sacrifice to give up aren't really a sacrifice at all, because you realise that if it's a food, or as in terms of comfort eating, or you use it as a coping mechanism, actually you don't need it to cope like you used to. Or, you know, it's just about having good people around you. You know, you can still have a social life. You know, a lot often when I see my friends and we get together and might have some drinks, you know, I have gin and slimline tonic, or, you know, there's always a few little crudités on the table now with some healthy dips, and, you know, rather than it just being all stuff that's you know, not good to eat. So I think it's just, you know, it's very difficult as well if you're someone, a lot of people say in the weight loss seminars, that they have people kind of like actively almost try and sabotage their weight loss efforts. And I think, you know, a lot of the time, as I said, like, change is really difficult, and you can struggle with changing yourself, but other people can also struggle with changes in you, and they come to expect a certain thing of you. And you know, someone might have thought of me, oh, you know, she's that Hattie, and she, you know, that's that, and that was my persona, and that's who I was. I mean, luckily I had people around me that really wanted to support me in my changes, but it's very difficult when you feel like, if you have people who kind of don't support that, or even just, you know, if you've got a busy life, if you're a mother, if, you know, or you care for your parents or whatever, you know, it's when you feel like you're spread so thin, and you utilize so much of your time trying to support other people and help other people, you feel like you don't have anything left for yourself. When actually, if you just take that small portion of your time to try and focus a little bit on your health, actually you can still be an amazing friend, an amazing mum, daughter, brother, sister, uncle, whatever, to people. And actually, then once you start to feel healthier and happier, then you can actually kind of give back more to them, because emotionally and physically you've got that energy to kind of invest more in them and be more present, because you know, you can't pour from an empty cup almost. So it's really hard to kind of prioritize yourself, and it's against human nature. You know, you feel like you're a selfish person for doing so, but actually it helps you in the long run, which then helps you to help other people.
Definitely. And I think what you shared there in regards to, you know, people do get used to your identity. They get used to who you are and what you contribute to the group, and or to the family, or whatever that might look like. And when you do go through a change, sometimes, like, human beings don't find change quite difficult. So sometimes, you know, if you're listening to this and you feel like other people aren't quite getting it, and you know, perhaps they're almost inflicting a bit of negativity against your change, you know, I think it's really important to be really focused on knowing that you are doing the right thing. You know, look where Hattie is now, and she focused and got her head down and focused on what was important to her. And a good question, I guess, on the back of this is, you know, because you've gone through this, and no one could do this for you. You've done this, all of it, from start to finish. So are you your biggest cheerleader? Because when you go through this transition and you work with your body and you go through this identity shift, I don't know if you'll agree with me here, but you come out the other end and you feel invincible.
No.
You're not there yet. No.
No.
You will get there.
Then you agree with me there, and I'm like, no, sorry. No, you know, self-confidence for me is still a very big ongoing battle, and that is something that is a lot more of an actual difficult battle for me than the physical weight loss. So yeah, I would say that I know I've done these things. I'm just like, people are like, oh my god, I can't believe it, and I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm just not very good at being like, yeah, look at me, I've done this is amazing. This is why I've been so nervous about doing something like this, because I'm just not someone who's like, oh, check me out, blah blah blah. So yeah, I can't answer that one and say that something like that just changes overnight. And I think that is something that I try to be very realistic about, is that yes, your physical being may change, but it's the mental side of it that's actually the biggest battle of all. Is, originally, to start with, it's a case of, I know that if I don't eat all this crap, I can survive and live through it, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be absolutely famished and pass out. But at the same time, and in the same token, I know that if I go for a walk when I can't be naffed, I'm not gonna faint from sheer exhaustion. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I don't just want to lie in bed all day, and it doesn't mean that I want to sit there and lie with a packet of crisps and a big chocolate bar. So it's the mental battle of saying, no, like, you don't need that, you're fine, or no, get off your bum and go, you'll feel better for it. And you've got to think about the bigger picture and how it's going to support it. And in the same token, it's the sense of, it takes time, and I don't mean that in a condescending way. Like, everyone knows weight loss takes time, but it takes time to lose the weight. It takes time for other people to notice it, and it takes time for you to start noticing it in yourself. And you have to remember, like, for me, it's 27 when I started my weight loss journey, and I'd had 27 years to build up to the size that I was when I started. And then now I've had 19 months where I've shrunk 11 stone, and my head's like, what is going on? And and so now I look in the mirror, and yes, I know I kind of look like how I do, and I see a picture and I know that that's how I look, but I'm like, my head's just not there. Like, if I was to walk around, and it sounds silly, but like my circumference, like, I still think that I was kind of that width, like I was walking around like a rubber ring around me down the beach. So it's definitely a mental battle more than anything else. It's a mental battle.
I suppose I completely with you in regards to building up that internal confidence. Completely with you. I guess what I meant was, because you've had to transition through and generate the results yourself, no one's been able to just gift it to you or make it easy for you. Have you sort of built up that resilience where you feel quite strong in yourself and capable?
Yeah, I think I've, as I said, it's not just been about losing weight, it's all the other battles off the back of it. And I definitely do feel stronger for it. I was at a place where I just felt like, and as I said, I was so convinced that I started this service and I would be, I'll just tick the boxes that I need to in order to have the surgery, because there's no way I'm going to be able to do it myself. So yeah, it's a really amazing feeling to think, actually, I've lost more weight than the average person weighs.
Yeah, and also your mindset has done that. Like, and that's what I mean. Like, over time, like, you almost start to really, like, sort of connect with your mindset and praise your mindset almost for giving you that strength and working with you and building that resilience, because it absolutely, of course, has not been easy, but I guess it may well have given you resilience that supports you for the rest of your life. And it's just,
fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next year, and I'll put it all back on. I'll be like, no, Emily,
I will come and chase you. I will come and find you. Hattie, thank you so much for showing up, because I reached out to Hattie a couple of weeks back and she wasn't 100% sure initially, but we got her here, and I'm very happy we did, because I know that this is just going to be amazing for so many people to listen to. And Hattie, if anybody's got any questions after tuning into this session, is it okay to reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, more than happy if I can help anyone in any way. Please get in touch.
Super, perfect. And any questions, obviously pop in comments and we can pick them up. And today it's all about you, Hattie, and celebrating this amazing journey you've been on. And it's just so inspiring for me, for everybody listening, and for everyone that's going to listen to this session in the future as well. So thank you so much for joining me. You've officially done your debut live, so you can keep on doing them now, and you've done amazing. Is there any last bits of wisdom or anything you'd love to share with anyone that's with us today listening?
Who put me on the spot now? I would just say to everybody that, as much as it seems scary, like, you really genuinely can do this. It's just about making small changes over time, and just about, fitting in what works for you. A lot of times in the past, for instance, If I've done like Weight Watchers, for example, like, I mean, this is like an old school version of Weight Watchers. You'd get like 20 points allowance and then any free food. Like, I'd be the kind of person, if you say to me, right, you've got 20 points, I'd be like, right, what can I get for my money's worth for these 20 points? I'm not even thinking about, am I hungry, am I not? What am I actually eating at these 20 points? But I'm going to full on get my 20 points worth and then all free food. So I think it's just about thinking, it's taking time to think about, what am I actually eating, what is going to fill me up, what foods are good for me in that respect, but also about having foods that you enjoy. You know, there's a lot of diet plans, and all these crazy foods to eat that you would never normally eat. Or I remember I went on like Atkins once and had like cottage cheese with jacket potato, and even now, like, thought of it turns my stomach, and I lasted about half a day on that diet. But it's, you know, it's about thinking like, actually, that if it's to be realistic and for it to be sustainable and for it to be long term, it's got to be food that you enjoy, but as I said, but in a healthy way, or even just to reduce quantities of it. You know, my dinners are still things that I always say, even now, you know, my portion sizes could be smaller, but I just eat normal dinners still. I am quite routine with my breakfast and lunch, which gives me that bit more freedom. So, you know, you can eat normal foods. People think to kind of lose this amount of weight in this amount of time, I must have been like eating a lettuce leaf every day, but it's not been like that. I've been eating real food, but just thinking about what I'm actually eating. So I'd say that was, you know, that's like a really big tip. And I'd also say, like, exercise is a very daunting thing. And like now, like people always say, oh, like, you know, you must have caught the fitness bug, you must love it. And I'm like, no, I don't. I do it because I have to. But if I could choose to do everything horizontally, sat down, I still would now. But I'm not promoting that, by the way. But what I would say is that, you know, sometimes it's that exercise in itself is really daunting, whereas it's not always about exercising. It's just about moving your body, whether that's, you know, like I would say, if it's raining and I can't go out for a walk or something, like, I love running around supermarkets doing supermarket sweeps. So I just go around there walking around, but I get my steps up, and then they're like, you know, above 10,000 or whatever, just from that alone in a day. And you know, I don't know, whatever it is that you enjoy, if it's a hobby or something, it's not just exercise, it's just moving your body, and then you'll realise that, you know, the weight will start to come off that way. But also, just don't be afraid to exercise. It's very daunting, you know, for someone, you step into a gym or, you know, you go swimming, it's really quite intimidating when you've got these people who are like fitness fanatics and you're not that kind of person. It's really scary, but as I said, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's just about trying to push yourself out your comfort zone, really.
That is such a good point. And, you know, fitness spaces or gyms have been completely taken over to be created into something that is so far from what they're supposed to be. You know, I actually chose to go to a leisure centre over niche gyms because I love seeing the senior gym when there's a 90-year-old woman doing her little workout. That brings me so much joy, because that is a reflection of health and fitness. So just adding on to what Hattie shared there, if you're listening to this and you do feel overwhelmed going into, you know, workout spaces, perhaps being creative and trying out a few different spaces, because some gyms can be worse for that than others. And leisure centre is always quite great to have people from all walks of life. But finding a comfortable environment, I love that you do a supermarket sweep. Like, I love supermarkets as well. I'm like you, I love food. So yeah, any creative way. Or if I order clothes from ASOS, you know, and I have to return them, I'll always walk to return them. I'll never drive to return them, to take them back. And it's trying to find things in your life where you can just proactively be more active. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. And mindful eating as well, just one of the most powerful tools too. So thank you so much, Hattie. It's been amazing. The quickest 40 minutes ever. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. And
thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. And you should do more of these. You're very good at it.
Thanks.
Have an amazing evening. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.